Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, the world's leading authority on childcare marketing, mindset, expansion, and profitability. Our host, Brian Duprey, is the world's most sought-after childcare coach, having helped tens of thousands of childcare owners from around the globe take their business to the next level. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, our host, Brian Duprey.
Hi, welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast training series. I am your host, Brian Duprey. I've got along Miss Professor Joy Maxwell, who's going to be joining me today. Hi, Joy. How are you?
Hi, Brian. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic. We picked an amazing topic today for our 5-day training podcast series. We're going to talk today about leadership, but we're going to talk specifically about leading by example. So when you are teaching people how to lead, let's talk a little bit about how we lead by example. So let's talk about this a little bit. So how would you train somebody in how to lead by example?
So I always tell people you have to be a leader who has a OMI policy. OMI, you observe, you model, and then you implement. Observe whatever the problem is, you model the behavior, the task, whatever it is that you want, your team to do, to mimic, and then you implement some type of policy that will keep it going, hold them accountable, and make sure that we don't have to have this conversation again.
And you hope you don't. But one thing with leadership by example is, are you willing to do what you're teaching or asking somebody else to do? Some owners are like, it's beneath them to take their own trash out, or it's beneath them to clean up something. And it's hard to tell somebody to do something without you willing to do that yourself, or you've never done that job as well. And I'll give you a couple examples. So when I used to work, I had an office in one of my childcare centers. I would always park in the very farthest parking spot. Like, I'm the owner. I could park in spot number 1, the spot closest, because that would be cool. Well, guess what? I wanted to set the example and let my teachers park closer because, you know what? To me, they work harder. They should have the shorter walk at the end of the day. They should be right there. I wanted to show them that I was not too big to be the farthest person parked away, that I don't think I was more important than them, that I had an owner spot. So that was me setting an example that I wasn't better than them. That's another thing was, at the end of the day, I would clean my own office and take my own trash out. Well, as I walked outside, the teachers would have their trash out in front of their classroom to go outside. Like, at the end of the day, they put it out in front. And I was always grab 2 other teachers' trash on the way out because I would walk past them when I left. And it wasn't beneath me to grab their trash because it was on my way and on my way out. And they always looked at me like, that was so nice of you to do that. I said, well, I was on my way. And they said that it wasn't beneath me to do that. And I guess that was his 2 examples. If I would have ever asked them to take out my trash, they would do that. But they know I'd be willing to take out theirs as well. Do you have any other examples that you would think of, Joy?
Well, Brian, you observed something and you modeled, right? You modeled what a good leader should be willing to always do. And so, in my Philadelphia location, it's in a very urban city area. So we get a lot of traffic all day long. We get a lot of people walking past. And if you've ever been to the streets of New York, Philadelphia looks just like them. People drop whole sandwiches, whole bags from Chick-fil-A, soda cups, soda cans. I mean, it's just a bit much. And we have trash cans outside of our centers, and we have them in the play yard area. But it's always some trash on the boulevard, and it winds up near our center. And so I remember one day I pulled up, and I have owner's eyes. And I know a lot of people don't have owner's eyes, but owner eyes are the eyes that go to anything that is a liability, a hazard, that could be a danger. You just automatically go there. If I walk into a building, the first thing I look at is sockets. Do you have socket protectors? The other thing I look at next is always the trash can. Do you have a liner in each trash can? And are children able to get their trash in the trash can without touching the trash can? So these are just things I look at. I always count kids. I know how many children are in a room when I step in a room. And so this particular day I walked up and there was like grass and debris, grass, not glass, grass, debris, and just like stuff outside. And so I came in the building, I greeted the teachers, and I quickly got the broom and the dustpan, like the shovel. And I just went outside, and as parents were pulling up, they're like, "Oh, hi, Miss Joy, how have you been?" Because you guys know I'm a traveling owner, so sometimes I don't get to a center for a whole month. So when the parents see me, they're like, "Hey, hi, Miss Joy, how you doing?" And they saw me out there, as a staff were pulling up, they saw me out there getting that trash out. Why? Because we don't want our children to go out to play in a few hours and have to step over any of these cups and napkins and chip bags and things like that. So I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't get on anybody at that moment, right? I didn't talk to anybody about it. I just quickly started getting it all up. One of my staff, she's pulling up. She quickly comes over to me like, "Miss Joy, no, I'll do that. I'll take care of it. No, no, no. Like, you go in. I don't want you out here." And I'm like, "It's fine. It's okay." Got it up. And I waited, I went on throughout the morning and did all my reports and things I needed to do. And then I boarded up. I made the observation, right? I modeled what that looks like to make sure once you pull up that you give yourself enough time to have to clean up or go over our checklist for what outside needs to look like. And then we talked about it. How can we, work on this? How can we make sure that this doesn't happen again? I implemented something to make sure that this shouldn't happen again, that this should be on our agenda first thing in the morning to make sure our outside is free of debris. And so I don't have a problem. Anything I ask any member on my team to do, I've told them before, they've heard it in orientation. I've been every position. I was the van driver, I was the accountant, I was the preschool teacher, the toddler teacher, the infant teacher, the cook. I've been a janitor, I've painted the building. Anything I ever asked a person to do, I've changed diapers, I've unclogged the toilet, I've done it. So once we have that line of communication open about what it looks like to model and what it looks like to lead by example, now my expectation is you also see the value in taking care of our center, taking care of these tasks and getting it done.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves too. Trash up against the fence or or cigarette butts. That's another thing. Parents smoke, get out of their car, they drop cigarette butts near your entrance, drives me insane. And again, you're right, owner eye. You got to teach your director to have owner eye, because tours see that, parents see that trash, and it's a bad reflection. When a new tour comes up, so you should always have a tour checklist that says, make sure you check your trash in the entranceway and make sure that it looks good. You have good curb appeal, because wind does blow that. So another area I want to talk about is when you have children or a family member working at your school. So this is something this is leadership by example. So when our kids work for us, we never put our thumb on the scale as far as giving them favoritism. Our kids had to start at the bottom, work for the same wage as everybody else, had to get educated like everybody else, go through the same trainings, and they never worked for us. They always worked for the directors. So their time off requests would have to go to the directors. We were never able to put our thumb on the scale and give them anything that anybody else, like they had to stand on their own 2 feet academically and performance wise without us intervening in whatsoever. And I tell you, the reason why that is so important, and if you're an owner and you give your kid a director job without him ever being a teacher, they are never going to be respected in that role. They need to be able to start at the bottom and work their way up and earn the respect of their peers. Right now, I have a daughter who's a director, but she's done every job in the company starting when she was little and worked her way up. Another who's an operations manager, again, who's done every job at the company. Another daughter's a teacher, another son who's a maintenance worker. So they all start at the bottom. They all make the same wage somebody else would done that qualification, and they all have the respect of their teammates, the people that they work with, because they led by example by doing the same things that other people, and they're asking other people to do. What do you say about that? What do you think about that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's almost a dangerous place to get where you have a person that you just bring in and kind of just put them, on a pedestal or in this position that they really haven't earned. Because you start like that, people just start to get those feelings of I can't really explain the feeling, but I've seen it. demonstrated before. And I've seen people's actions and their attitude towards people like, well, that's not fair. I've been here 5 years. I've been here 4 years. I thought I was going to get to be a director. When I was hired, I was always told that there was room for advancement, room for growth. And now, the position that I thought I was working towards and showing you all of my skill set, you just gave it to somebody because they're a relative or a friend. And so they don't, your team doesn't appreciate that. They don't value that person because they don't feel like they've been in the trenches with them per se. And so I think it's always good to bring your family in or a person in at an entry level. Even if it's just a new hire that maybe is just a friend, not a family member, bring them in at an entry level and let them earn and put some skin in the game. Because when you just give it to them, they don't really value it like the people who have been there the longest and that's been looking forward to holding that position.
Absolutely. Good. Well, I think we've given our members here some tools and tips on how to lead by example. I hope this has been helpful. If you've been listening, our time is up. We try to keep these nice, short, sweet on Fridays. If we could help you in your childcare business, go to childcaregenius.com and go to the coaching tabs. I like a free coaching call, and I'll get on the call with you. If you're a center owner and you've not done a call with me in a year and you need a little bit of help, I'll be happy to get on the phone with you, maybe give you some other tips and tools to help you succeed in your business. And this is Brian Duprey and Joy Maxwell signing off. Until next Friday's training podcast, we will see you. And remember that you need to make fun childcare fun and exciting in 2025. Have a good rest of your day. Bye, Joy. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.